Hi, thank you for hanging out with me. Today's project is an easy and beginner-friendly beaded crochet bracelet called Cinnamon Roll. It features a beautiful handmade button by Jessica at Hansel Pottery. I'll leave details. Please go and give her some love. Looks like a cinnamon roll. That's what my husband said anyway, and so that's where the name came from. We're going to use simple stitches along with beads that are slightly bigger than the ones we normally use, and I'll put all the materials in the description below. But before I do anything else, let me show you a feature that I love about this bracelet. So there's a little stretchy band at the end of the bracelet that I wrap around twice, and it allows me to put the bracelet on with just one hand, and then I'll adjust it like I'm doing. And yeah, I have some dexterity issues, so that helps me a lot. And then taking it off is just as simple. You just unwrap like I'm doing right now, and then the bracelet is off. So what we'll be working with is actually classified as thread, but I'm going to call it yarn. So here's our main color in copper, and then here's our contrast color in bear. It's made by Knit Picks or WeCrochet. And you can use any color you want. It's called Curio number 3, and it's a lace weight. We'll be using a 1.5 millimeter hook to place beads and work the bracelet. And then the backup hook is a 1.25 millimeter, and that's in case there are beads with holes too small for the 1.5 millimeter hook. The bracelet is customizable, so here I am measuring my hand. My wrist is what I'm measuring. And if I'm measuring myself, I put a little piece of tape. And then, so my wrist is about 6 3/4. The bracelet sample that I'm making is going to cover about 7 1/4 inches, so that's good for me. It will ideally fit wrists from 6.5 to 7 inches comfortably, and you can just work the beaded portion longer if you need a longer bracelet. All right, let's start. So I've got my 1.5 millimeter hook. And I've got my stretchy band, my yarn, leave about a 4 to 6 inch tail. I'm going to insert my hook into that band, drape the yarn over the hook, and eventually drop a loop. There you go. And then I'm going to chain 1. So chain 1. And now hold the tail and the band together. The chain 1 does not count towards the stitch count, by the way. And then go ahead and work 11 single crochet, just like I'm doing, over the band and the tail held together. So you pause the video and work those 11 single crochet. I'm going to do the same, and when I come back, I'm also going to show you how to get rid of any spacing between the stitches. So I've worked my row 1 of 11 single crochet. If you have any spaces between those stitches, hold on to the work and give the band a little tug until those spaces are gone. Chain 1, and let's work row 2. Row 2 is easy. You're just going to work 11 single crochet again. So single crochet into each of those single crochet. So I finished that second row, and I'm going to chain 1, and the row count's going to start over again as we add beads. So row 1, single crochet, and now we're going to single crochet bead color 1. So that's the copper. Put the bead onto your hook. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and draw through the bead and the stitch. You've got 2 loops on the hook, and now yarn over and draw through those 2 loops. And you've single crocheted bead color 1. Single crochet into the next stitch, and we're going to do that again with bead color 1. So pick up the bead, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, draw through the stitch in the bead hole, and then yarn over, draw through the 2 loops, single crochet again. Do that twice more with bead color 1. So let's do it twice more. Bead color 1. Single crochet into the next stitch. And then one more bead color 1. Single crochet. And now I'm going to single crochet bead color 2, which is the opaque white. That's what it's called. Oh, and look, my hook is not fitting through that bead. So it's a good chance for me to show you. I've switched to my 1.25 millimeter, right? And then now I'm going to place that bead on the hook and insert into the next stitch, yarn over, draw through those 2 loops, and then I'm going to switch right back to my 1.5 millimeter to work the last single crochet in a row. Every row begins and ends with a single crochet. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. The second row and the fourth row are the same, just single crochet into each stitch for 11 single crochet. Row 3. I've already chained 1, so now I'm going to single crochet into that first stitch, and then I'm going to place a bead color 1. So do that to the next stitch, single crochet bead color 1, you know it by now. Single crochet again, this is single crochet, and then now bead color 2. So single crochet bead color 2, and then single crochet, and you're going to repeat that 3 more times. So yeah, for the sample bracelet, we're going to repeat this 4-row sequence 8 times total. So we're going through it this first time, and then we'll repeat the 4 rows 7 times more. If you need a shorter bracelet, you repeat it less. If you need a longer bracelet, you repeat those rows more. And here's my last stitch. It's a single crochet. All right, and let me show you. So I've got those 3 rows right here. And then I'm going to chain 1 and do row 4, which is exactly like row 2. Single crochet in every single crochet. All right, I've finished my 8 repeats of that 4-row sequence. And then the next thing we need to do is to work the padded edge where we're going to sew on the button. It's important that that edge is nice and strong for that button. So you've already done your chain 1 and turned, and now that first stitch is a single crochet, and you're going to repeat this row over and over again until you reach about 1.5 inches. So 9 front post single crochets is what we're going to do next. This is the top of the next stitch. Insert your hook in the space to the right of that stitch, around the back, and out the space to the left of the stitch. All right? Now yarn over, draw through those spaces. You got 2 loops, and then yarn over, draw through those 2 loops. Let's do it again. The next space is to the right of the stitch. The next stitch, insert around and out to the left space. Yarn over, draw up a loop, and then yarn over, draw through those 2 loops. I'm going to do this row with you so you can just see what we're doing. So we've done 2. We have 7 more of these front post single crochets, and I'm going as slowly as I can so that you can see what's going on. So I'm just going to be quiet and work the stitch. I'm at the last 2 stitches, as you can see. So front post single crochet around that 10th stitch, and the last stitch, which is the 11th stitch, is just a single crochet. So you're going to start with a single crochet and end with a single crochet. Chain 1 and turn, and do that exact same row again over and over until you reach about 1.5 inches long. On the left is a finished bracelet. It's beautiful, everything straight and pretty much even, nice and drapey and soft. And then here's what we have right now. Okay, so it needs some help. We know this. So please don't skip this part. Block the work, okay? So here's how we do it. I've got my blocking mat. My mat has lines on it. If yours does not have lines on it, do what I did with this mat, which is draw pencil lines on it. So take your piece, turn it to the wrong side, the side without the beads, and then we're going to use the padded edge that we just worked as a guide for the width that we're aiming for. So we'll stretch that out somewhat, and then we'll follow that. I have some water. Spray down the work with the water. Don't saturate it, just lightly mist it. I shouldn't have said spray down, just lightly mist it, okay? And then we're going to start to pin the work. Turn it back to the right side. And now what I'm doing here is I'm kind of lining it up. And like I said, I'm using the padded edge as a guide. So I've got my blocking combs. This is a smaller blocking combs. They come in let me see, hold on a second. A larger size like that, but I'm using the smaller ones. You can alternatively use T-pins, okay? But blocking combs is what I'm using. So I'm going to use these little spaces along the edge, all right? And that's where I'm going to pin. So I'm going to start at the padded edge and just I'm going to pin it. You'll see I'm pinning it, and I'm going to, show you to get started, and then you pause and you do your thing. Just take your time. You're going to readjust it. If it comes out where you don't like it, and you can always spritz it down a little bit and start over, okay? But just pin it. These are actually the spaces that we're going to be working in when we do our decorative edge, all right? So I'm pinning one side and the other, and then I'm lining everything up. I'm adjusting the width according to the padded edge. Okay, the other part of the bracelet can go wider, but I don't really want to do that. I'm just going to follow the padded edge and pin. So you go ahead and pause the video and work on blocking. Let it completely air dry. Take it off, and then we'll continue. So starting right with this space right here is where we're going to start our surface chain, and that is for our decorative edge. This is what I'm calling edge 1. We're going to work into these spaces, and I'm showing you along this edge 1 all the way up along that edge. Then you're going to rotate the work and work along edge 2, which are into those 11 single crochet of the padded edge. Rotate again clockwise, and then work edge 3, which is the same spaces that are opposite the ones in those same rows that are on edge 1. And so you get to this space right here, which is directly opposite the one you began with. The surface chain is just like it sounds. We'll be working chain stitches along the edges that I showed you. Insert your hook into that first space. Grab your yarn. Leave about a 4-inch tail. That's enough. And then drape it over that hook and draw up a loop through that space. The yarn's going to come from wrong side to right side. All right, chain 1. And that gets us started. Now that next space in the next row upward, working upward, insert the hook, yarn over, draw through the space and the loop on the hook. That's your surface chain. Okay, do that again, working upward in those spaces. The first space is along that edge. Next space, and just keep working that surface chain. Yarn over, draw through the space and through the loop on the hook. The space and loop on the hook, and I want you to work evenly, not too tight, not too loose, because you don't want your edges to bunch up. All right, so continue working that surface chain just like I'm doing here along this 3 edges as I showed you, ending with that space that's directly across. I have finished my decorative edge along those 3 sides, and I've ended in the space directly opposite of the one I started with. I've cut my tail, about 4 inches is fine. Draw the loop through, pull the loop through, thread that tail onto a tapestry needle. I just want to show you how to secure. I'm going to show you one side. The other side is pretty much the same. Take that to the wrong side by inserting the needle into that same space in which you ended and draw the tail through to the wrong side. Okay. And then from there, what I do is I'm going to draw it underneath those legs, but I'm going to knot it first because it's cotton. So I'm going to take it around one of the 2 of the stitch legs from this angle. Okay. And then loop it around and knot it. I'm going to do that twice. And now I'm going to draw the tail underneath those legs to hide it to the opposite side. And then I will cut that excess. I'll do the same thing with the other tail. The other tail is already on the wrong side, so just knot it, draw it through, and then cut the excess for that side. My knots are done for both sides. This is an additional step that I do. I use a product called Fray block. Generally use it in sewing, but it's great for these cotton threads to secure those knots even further. And I put it inside of a bottle like this because it tends to be quite liquidy, as you'll see in a second. And you just need a little bit. It leaves the fabric still nice, but secures it. Okay, that's probably way more than I needed, but it's all right. Let it air dry completely before you wear the item. We're at the home stretch. So place your button on that padded edge just above the beads, center between edges 1 and 2 with a little space at the top. Okay, and we'll sew. Thread your tapestry needle. A size 16 or 18 is good. Leave about a 4-inch tail for it. I can already see there's spaces. See that spacing to sew. So I'm going to insert my needle from wrong side to right side and leave my tail. And I'm going to try to use 2 spaces in the same row to sew this button. So there's the other space that's in the same row, right there. I'm going to insert my needle from right side to wrong side into that space. And again, I'm trying to use the same 2 spaces. Give me a second. Let's pull that through. All right. So all you gotta do is in one space, I'm just checking. Insert your needle from wrong side to right side. Okay. And I'm going over this because people may not have done this before. So there you go. And then down through that same, using those same 2 holes or spaces. Okay. You're going to do that until the button is secure. And then, pause the video, do that, and then come back and I'll show you how to tie that off and hide the tails. All right, my button is secure. It's not been sewn on too loose or too tight. So turn to the wrong side and you'll have your tail and you'll have your yarn that's on the needle. Take it underneath those strands that you use to sew the button on. Just take your time and draw it underneath those until it's right next to the tail. Yeah, okay, take your time. I'm telling that to myself, by the way. All right, now tie those 2 together with a square knot. All right, I'm using a square knot to tie them together. And then place them both onto the tapestry needle, like I'm doing. And then you're going to take them underneath to the right side, drawing that knot underneath those strands. So just draw the needle to the right side underneath that button, all right, and just gently tug on it so that that knot is hidden underneath those strands. Take your time with this, like that, okay, and then you'll just cut the excess and everything's hidden underneath the button. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. You could have been anywhere on this platform today and you chose to hang out with me. I appreciate you. And let me know if you have questions or comments, and I look forward to seeing your projects.